and show you everything that the county does for us, which we very much appreciate and hope that we can continue with that relationship in the future. But while you're out here, I just wanted to, we'll walk around to the side here. The town just recently applied for, and I'm not sure the exact term, but it was a wildfire grant.
Yeah, wildfire preparedness grant. We're going to see one of those in 2 stops, but yes,
right.
it won't matter.
So what we're doing is we have a lot of state, federal, and town private conservation lands, and we've identified an area that abuts a neighborhood, and that was identified as a spot where, and I'm not the fire person, but there's a concern with protecting the homes from potential wildfire.
Fuel loads there, and is at risk for a fire.
Exactly. So as part of the grant, the town's going to be providing the labor to go in and create a buffer. So what we had proposed through the grant was we have some equipment, but we didn't have the attachments to use to be able to do the necessary work. So through the grant, we were able to buy attachments for a skid steer, which we'll be able to use specifically for this project and then for future projects, depending on the success of what we do here, and maintain it and help protect the properties and the conservation land. So very exciting. But we have a Caterpillar skid steer. And so what we had purchased were 2 attachments. One is, does everyone know what a skid steer is? A bobcat?
Maybe not.
Also known as a bobcat. I don't know, a skid steer bobcat. Bobcat is the particular type of skid steer, but it's a smaller piece of equipment that we can get in. What we bought was this flail mower right here, which will allow us to go in and cut down a lot of the undergrowth. And then we also purchased a bulldozer blade, which we can attach to help. One of the requests of the fire department was to create some fire roads for access, but also as fire breaks. As part of the project, we'll be doing that work. We'll also be working with the neighborhood. What we're going to do is we'll have a day where the town will come and, provide some brush and chipping services. Again, so we'll work on our property, and if they want to take advantage of having us there to chip some of the material that's on their property, and hopefully, as Bill said, reduce the risk.
The last stop of the morning, we are going to see what Barnstable has done. They're 2 years ahead of Mashpee. Mashpee was just funded, and you'll see what they've done. So you'll get an idea of what we're talking about here in terms of creating fire roads and reducing fuel loads.
Right. Yeah. So again, something that without the grant, it probably is not something that we would have been able to do. Even if we're 2 years behind Barnstable, it probably would have been another 10 years.
Every town wanted to do it at the same time, and we had to go one town at a time. So we've done 12 towns now.
Wow. The big problem, as always, is that we are under a big pressure to pull more land into conservation without the money to manage the land once it goes in conservation. And the idea of having unmanaged conservation land brings up the threat of more potential for fire, because we're not maintaining the brush or the fire roads. So this program, I've always felt, was one of the most important ones that I was involved with.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Good. Okay, well, why don't we walk back around and we'll actually go inside.
It's going to be a little tight inside, but we want to show you what happens when someone comes in to do a sharps exchange or some other things as a resident. All right, my name is Mike McGuire. I'm an extension agent for the county. My primary responsibility and my position is to assist residents of Cape Cod and towns with household hazardous waste. So we run several different programs, and in each town we have to coordinate partnerships to make sure the programs get implemented properly. So have any of you heard of the household hazardous waste collections in your town? Yeah. Okay, great. So you've probably all seen posters like this that are up around town and received flyers that were mailed to you. I put those flyers together. They're sent to every household on Cape Cod, and it explains what to do with difficult to manage waste. We set up collections. In fact, the Mashpee collection is this Saturday.
So any resident of Mashpee, Sandwich, Falmouth, or Bourne can participate, and it's in Mashpee this Saturday.
So Catherine's great. She actually has included a paper recycling initiative where people who have sensitive materials, say you have old bills, things that might have personal information, but you still want to recycle those things. She actually has a paper shredding company that comes, shreds it all, and the shredded material does get recycled. So there's always really great partnerships. But the typical things I collect at the hazardous waste collections are oil-based paint, pesticides, those type of things. So that's one program that we run. The other things that you may have heard of are the SHARPS program. Have any of you heard of that? Okay, so if you're a resident, and typically these are people who have medical needs to use sharps. It really doesn't matter what the need is. We don't want sharps going into trash because all trash gets compacted. And when trash does get compacted, even a lot of people have been putting things in, say, old Tide. I think Catherine's going to show us an example.
This is just what we've collected in the last day. So, right, we're still getting people that they're trying to do the right thing by not throwing it in with the trash, but they're putting it in something that isn't necessarily going to protect someone from a needle prick. If it went in with the trash, someone might try to pull it out thinking, oh, that should be recycled. So through the county program, you know, we've been able to offer to residents the proper container. They bring it back here, we give them a replacement, and then this goes to a medical waste facility where it's properly disposed of.
And we want to make sure that the town employees and the folks who are dealing with this trash, if they get stuck, you know, the estimates are $20,000 to $25,000 in medical bills, because hepatitis C and some of the other diseases take years to manifest themselves, and it's very expensive treatment. Another program.
Can I just add on, just to knowing that you were coming today, I had Donna just look at what we've collected just through the SHARPS program for the last 6 months. So the first 6 months of 2009, we've collected 126 containers. Because it's a county program, we're able to collect from any person, you know, whether they're a Mashpee resident or not. For whatever reason, the town of Falmouth does not participate in the SHARPS program. So if there's anyone here from Falmouth, you want to put it.
Well, there might
be. So we do get a number of folks from Falmouth that come here to get the containers and to swap them out. We got a few from Sandwich, depending on where they live. It's more convenient for them to come here. But it's a great program. 126 in 6 months.
It's significant.
It continues to grow up. Continues to grow.
You say 126 containers. What's in a container?
They're different sizes. So that's 126 total. We have 2 different sizes that we offer here. So it's 126 containers.
So we purchase the empty ones. I go around and deliver them to every town. Residents pick them up, fill them up. They're returned here, and then a medical waste disposal company comes and we pay for their disposal. Another program that we run is a flares disposal program. Are you guys familiar with marine flares and road flares? There's many different kinds. I brought examples.
And I have some of those as well.
So many of you may have used to have road flares in your vehicle. If you're a boater, you've probably seen smokes. These are another type of flare. They're ignited. If you're in distress, you open it up, light it off, and it leaves a plume of smoke to show the lifeguards, or the Coast Guard rather, where you are. There are other types of flares. Some people, have you seen those orange guns that shoot rocket propelled? They're basically 12-gauge shells with a flare inside of it to show you where you are. All of these things contain perchlorate, which is a known thyroid inhibitor, and Massachusetts was the first state in the country to put a limit on how much perchlorate can be tolerated in drinking water. One flare can contaminate 1.2 million gallons of drinking water. So it's something that we want to make sure we're very, very sensitive about how we dispose of these.
And being on the Upper Cape with the base and the issues that we have there, that is a huge issue for the folks here. So these all have expirations. So you know, it's not something that you can keep forever. They do expire, and so that's where we generally tend to see them. They're unused flares that have expired, so they bring them to us, and we give them to
me.
the county.
Like right now.
Right now.
Well, thank you. And so the last program, I know we're under time constraints, that I wanted to talk about is our mercury collection program. I think the known effects of mercury have been publicized for a long time. They cause birth defects. Mercury is extremely dangerous to children. In every town, we actually collect thermostats. So many of you may have seen in your house, you have an old Honeywell thermostat. There's this ampule right here in it. Can you see the mercury sliding back and forth? That's 4 grams, okay? There's 454 grams in a pound. We collect over 2,000 of these a year. We did almost 100 pounds last year. Right now we're at 55 pounds collected this year between the 15 Cape towns. The program collects more mercury than just about anyone else in the country, is what we've been told by the state. So,
I wonder how many people here used to coat dimes with mercury when they were growing up.
I know. And that's what we get a lot of is, you know, people have it in film canisters or coffee cans, you know, and we want to take it all. And so they can bring it to the transfer station.
Or if they bring it here to us through the county and through CMAS, where our waste goes for incineration, CMAS actually provides us with replacements. So if you bring in an old mercury thermostat, they give us digital thermostats to distribute. Same with the thermometers. You bring in your old mercury thermometer, you'll get a digital thermometer to replace it.
So, yeah, so these are the replacements. CMAS provides the funds to do this, and we're happy. If any of you have something that you would like to exchange, or anyone has these, we're happy to exchange them. So.
And the little one in your right hand?
These are low voltage thermostats as opposed to the line voltage thermostats you have for resistance heat, because those thermostats operate on a contact basis. So all Honeywell thermostats may not be low voltage with the mercury. Some of them might be line voltage, especially if you have electric heat. Don't fool with the thermostat, because you see line voltage at the thermostat. With the low voltage thermostats, you have some protection because it was at 15 volts.
Typically.
Yeah, typically. Yeah. So you don't really have too much to worry about. But it's nothing. Make sure you know what you're doing before you touch it.
If you're going to do it yourself, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And I guess the benefit also with the thermostats is they're all programmable. So the new digital ones, you can program it so that you can also save some energy as well.
So, thank you. So this is exactly how it happens every day. You know, we're going to transfer stations and picking this up. It comes in different quantities, but without the assistance participation of each of the towns, the program wouldn't be possible. So it's a really good partnership, and I think we're doing significant things to protect our groundwater and our environment.
And this is in every town?
Every town on the Cape.
Falmouth participates in this?
Yes.
Not in the sharps, but they do participate in the other programs.
And flares of mercury.
Right. But Mike and I were just at a meeting yesterday, and we heard from the town of Yarmouth, which because of budget cuts, they've actually cut their funding for the hazardous waste program, which I was just floored by that. The county, pays a portion of that cost. The towns pick up the rest. Yarmouth is not providing it, and so what do you tell your residents? There's no place for them to safely dispose of their hazardous materials. And Mike is just saying he's getting the phone calls from residents saying, "What am I supposed to do with this?" And
you think about the hundreds of thousands of dollars we spend on protecting groundwater. This is the tip of the iceberg stuff. This is stuff that people know is bad and want to get rid of. So it's critical that we provide a solution for those folks. So, does anyone have any questions? Or I'll be back at the farmhouse at the lunchtime. So if you do, you can speak with me.
Question: what about our people that visit Cape Cod, and they may not be aware of how strong we feel about taking care of our environment, how are they informed?
If they're second homeowners, we do a lot of outreach to them through mailings and publications in each town. If they're visitors, they're a lot more difficult to get in touch with, and that really is where signage and visibility and folks who are using transfer stations that's where they get their information. If they're just using a waste service, it's very difficult to reach folks, you know.
Well, if anybody watches this television program today, I think they should be aware, whether they live here or they come here, the reason that they come here will not stay here unless they pay attention to what they're supposed to do. If they don't do it at home, they shouldn't do it here.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
All right.